Hey, fellow storytellers, let me ask you a question. How confident are you that your content actually connects in every market? If you're guessing, it might be time to check out Phrase. Phrase is the industry-leading AI localization platform that helps you deliver content in multiple languages without losing your tone, your message, or your mind. It automates the manual work, slashes review time, and gives you real data on what's working where. Brands like Uber and Zendesk trust Phrase to scale their content across the globe and get it right every time. If you're serious about reaching more people and driving better results internationally, head over to phrase.com/MPN and take a look. That's phrase.com/MPN.
Are you tired of juggling multiple software tools to manage your agency? Say hello to Deltek Workbook, the ultimate solution for marketing and communication agencies. With Workbook, you can streamline your projects, resources, and finances all in one place. Imagine real-time dashboards and reports giving you full visibility into your projects, people, and financials. Plan your team's capacity weeks in advance to avoid bottlenecks while staying on budget to maximize project margins. Plus, Workbook works perfectly for both agencies and in-house marketing teams looking to boost efficiency and profitability. And here's the best part. At PCI, we're a certified Deltek partner and reseller offering expert implementation, integrations, and ongoing support to ensure your success. Want to see how Deltek Workbook can transform your operations? For a free consultation, visit pci.us/podcast today. That's pci.us/podcast.
Welcome to Storylines Live, the only podcast that explores the meaning and the power of the most important story in business. The one that answers why someone would buy from you, work for you, invest in you, or partner with you. This is the story that defines the very character and nature of an organization. At WordWrite, we call it your capital S story. In each episode of Storylines Live, we feature guests who have great insights on business storytelling, who can share their experiences and key learnings to help you and your organization do a better job of sharing your capital S story to drive remarkable business results. Today, we're honored to have Ivy Slater of Slater Success Coaching as our guest, talking about her personal story and how that led her to found a company that became a guide to so many other businesses. Now, as I mentioned, Ivy didn't start out to do this, but she's been quite a success at it. Before founding Slater Success, she owned and operated a successful seven-figure printing business. Now, we'll talk about that, Ivy. That's a business that's growing. For over 20 years in New York City, and there's a competitive market. During the early days of taking over the company, Ivy learned that relationship-based growth strategies and niche customer targeting helped her achieve financial success, helped her become a top name in the business and win work with publications such as W Magazine, Harper's Bazaar, New York Magazine, Ad Age, Town and Country, Men's Health, to name a few publications, some of which aren't in business anymore. Sadly. Today, Ivy,
some of which are extinct, like hopefully we're not.
We are not. Today, Ivy and her team of professional coaches and trainers are dedicated to helping women, in particular, women business owners and entrepreneurs, as well as leadership and organizational teams, leverage those relationships and achieve success. She's also a best-selling international author of From the Bar to the Boardroom. We got to talk about that too. Ivy, welcome to Storylines Live. Anything in your bio that I missed or misstated that you think our audience should know about?
I think we're good.
Great. Awesome. Well, I really do appreciate you being here. And as folks who are regular listeners or watchers, viewers know, I always ask our guests at the beginning of the podcast about their capital S story and which of the answers to those four questions are most important for them right now. So, Ivy, in your case, is it who's buying from you, who's working for you, who's investing in you, or who's partnering with you? Which of those are top of mind for you? And it's certainly okay if it's more than one.
Actually, I'm going to go with who's partnering with me.
Hmm.
And it's and because of a conversation I had literally yesterday. So if you asked me this yesterday morning, I might have given you something else, Paul. But
Okay.
yesterday afternoon, I had a conversation with a potential partner, right? Actually a potential client.
Right.
And she said, she goes, so basically what you're saying is we're going to partner together to grow this firm. And I said, exactly. It's not me telling you what to do. It's not this or that, and it's not all this a lot of, I hate to say coaching nonsense, because I truly believe in the art of coaching, and I'm 100% vested in that. But where I come from is we do the consulting piece, which is the strategic planning piece, and
Yeah.
the coaching piece is the implementation piece.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And when this potential client, her light bulb went off and she goes, we're going to partner together. So I'm not at the top of this company alone. And I said, exactly, that's the goal. And so that's where I would have given you a different answer yesterday morning.
Well, I love that because I'm sure you've had that experience many times previously in your business too. And at our firm, I mean, one of the things that we often say about our work is that the storytelling assistance we provide is not something we do to you, it's something we do with you. Seems like
100%.
that's very much true in your business as well.
The greatest results clients get is leaning into the work together.
Yes.
It's not them doing it on their own, and it's not us doing it for them.
Hmm.
It's that partnership, that true hand in hand approach, um, being there when some decisions get tough, being there to celebrate the wonderful successes, navigating the path in growing the business. And I'll always say it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's a path, it's a journey. There's going to be some going uphill and some coasting down.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that business is more of a roller coaster than it is, pop culture would have us believe it's just a straight rise to the top, like a rocket or something. And that's not usually the way it works, right?
It's not, there's also a balance between different areas of a business when you're growing a business, and I'll always say if we think about a vehicle moving forward, right?
Yes.
If we think about a vehicle moving forward, there's four wheels. We have the strategic financial plan, the marketing plan,
Hmm.
the sales plan, and the team plan. And then that driving wheel is that mindset of the leader or leadership team on where they're going. And that really moves things forward. But there's times this wheel is a little shaky. We might have hit a nail on the road in this wheel, and we're going to get that patched up, right? It's that balance in the journey. And building a business is not, it's not for the faint of heart, having built a couple in my lifetime. And it's one of the most fulfilling things we can do.
Wow. I just love that picture. I really can visualize, and hopefully our audience can as well, how that all works together. And the leadership team should be at the wheel, right?
The leadership team is the driving force of that wheel. They're navigating the direction
Yes.
that it's going, and there are going to be some turns in the road. We might not have expected a detour. A bridge went out. We have to detour. That's okay. That might have been COVID, right?
Yes. Oh,
We had a bit of a detour. Good leadership leaned into it and said, how are we going to navigate it? What are the things we need to do? 1, 2, 3 right now?
sure.
And then what are we going to be picking up? There's always going to be some detours in the long range of business.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of detours, let's start with the title of your book so that the audience can get a sense of your own journey from bar to the boardroom. And folks, if you're listening and not watching and you don't have subtitles turned on, that's BARRE as in dancing. So Ivy, you wanted to be a dancer.
I actually have a degree in dance and a degree in communications.
Wow.
So, and my journey had a shift, right? We had to hit a detour, Paul, at
Yeah.
23 when I blew out my knee and I was told I would never dance again.
Wow.
And that was a detour. And then it was like the next step and the next step after that. And in that journey, I eventually ended up in the printing world,
Mhm.
and then selling printing on the streets of Manhattan, becoming a junior partner, developing what my niche market was, that I was able to scale a great book of business, then lead a company. I led a merger of that company into about a $3.5 million organization. When that merger went bust, about 5 years in, I started my own business and I led that for another dozen plus years until my next detour was like, I don't want to die a printer. It, it had nothing to do with what the printing industry is today. And by
Yeah,
the way, we do have more catalogs and people are reading print again because our inboxes are so filled,
that's true. Yes.
when you look at marketing as a whole. But it was a sense of fulfilling. I was like, I want to be a dancer. I had all these hopes and dreams. I ended up running a good, really, really good printing company, having great clients, but it wasn't fulfilling to me. And
Mhm.
I said, I want to do something that leaves a mark that's important to me. And, kind of hitting the wall at 45, to be very honest with you, um, saying, okay, if not now, when?
Yes, absolutely.
And we're not going to go into the whole transformation story there, but um, that was the birth of Slater Success in January of '08. And my first succession plan I ever did was succession plan for myself, getting out of Slater Graphics, my printing company. So I opened Slater Success in January of '08, and I was completely divested of Slater Graphics in January 2010, having had coffee with my former who took over my business yesterday. Because we keep long-standing relationships. That's what the boardroom is about.
Wow, that's great.
The value of those long-standing relationships.
Folks will include links to
And also, Paul, can I say, and I don't even know if you know this, but a couple of weeks ago, I launched my new book.
oh, I did not know that. Please share with the audience.
I launched this is my next book, which is Best of the Best, Lead Boldly, Scale Rapidly, Create Your Legacy. And it's all about scaling and creating succession and creating your legacy in a company. You know, build it to leave something, leave a mark.
Hmm.
Leave something important, build something that's important to you and leave your mark. When, I said I have to do something that's important to me, right? And all of a sudden I transitioned my world at a crazy time in life in '08 to
Oh,
do that.
that was definitely a crazy time. Now, your new book, Best of the Best, is available.
It's available, yep, on Amazon and Ingrid, and it's out there. Just Google it. We'll give you the link.
Awesome. Well, folks, we'll put that in the show notes so that you can find both of Ivy's books. And we're going to dig into what Ivy and her team do today at Slater Consulting right after we take this quick break. Welcome back, folks, to Storylines Live, the only podcast that explores the power and the meaning of the most important story in business, the one that answers why somebody would buy from you, work for you, invest in you, or partner with you, your capital S story. In this episode, we're honored to have with us as our guest, Ivy Slater of Slater Success Coaching. And before the break, we were just starting to get into what Ivy and her team do today. And Ivy, obviously, something happened as you built those two companies that led you to what you do today. What was it that you said you weren't being fulfilled? What was it that you were looking for, or what is it that you found that led you to create your current company?
Um, that is such a good question. It's not an easy question.
Right.
I truly I will say had that midlife crisis.
Hmm.
I truly woke up. I was 45. It was about a year after my dad passed away. It was the month of my birthday. And I'm like, what in the world am I doing in my life? And that was, kind of like, you know, kind of just hitting your head, like waking up, like, what am I doing? But I was making a great living, mind you, raising two kids in New York City. Life was wonderful, on, all picture perfect, but I was not fulfilled. I was like, I wanted to be a dancer. I would have opened a dance school. I wanted to be a producer. I got fired from that job. I was like, like what about me? Who am I? And as a mom, what am I teaching my kids if I'm just doing the day to day?
Right.
And like, what example am I setting? It's like, yes, I'm making a great living. They were able to go to summer camp and after school programs, check and check. But as a woman, as a mother, as a business owner, like there had to be more.
Yes.
And literally, the crazy story, I was working out on the Upper East Side of New York City with a friend, and she goes, "You ought to become a coach." And I looked at her and I said, "Soccer?" And she goes, "Where did soccer come from?" And I'm like, because I was looking out where we were in the park and I was looking out at the fields that my kids played soccer on Saturday mornings, you know? And so that was what the mental image that came to me. And I said, I can't dance anymore. I blew out my knee. I cannot do a full plie. I can't teach dance. And she goes, "No, there's a whole industry around coaching and it's just so you." And I was like, what does that mean? Bear in mind, this was April of 07. So it really was not very popular. And I went home and I hit Google and I said, what is coaching? And of course, soccer comes up, tennis comes up. Page 2, I had fencing, because I'll never forget this. And on page 3, I got something called like professional coaching or executive coaching or, developmental. And I was like, what is this? And I just kept digging and digging. And then, I sold printing to marketing and advertising departments. So my next natural thing to do is market research.
Right.
So I started doing informational interviews with everybody in there, anybody I could think of. And people in the, I knew somebody who was a regular on the Today Show at the time, through my kids, through school, this, that, and the other thing. I said, "Can I take you for coffee? Can I ask you?" I said, "Is this a professional that you could actually pay a bill with?" Because again, we were a two-income family, bills had to be paid. I asked all kinds of, I spoke to my attorney, I spoke to my accountant. My accountant yelled at me. I was like, I don't want that. My attorney is like, "Oh, one of my clients, I think, does something like that now. They opened another company. Do you want to talk to him?" I'm like, "Yep, sign me up." I just kept, trying to understand. And then I signed myself up. This started in April. By the end of May, I was signed up for a certification for coaching certification, a year-long program. And when my kids, came home after camp that summer, I said, "Mommy is starting this other program, that I'm going to learn like you're going to learn. And at nights, we're going to do homework together." They're like, "Well, what about your business? What about your printing company?" And I said, "No, I do that during the day. And then like you guys go to school during the day. And then at night, we're all going to do homework together." And I did that for about a year. And I opened Slater Success, and I didn't know most anything.
Didn't know what you didn't know.
We didn't know what we didn't know. And what I didn't know is I thought like, "Oh, I know how to run a business. I got this. What is this?" But there was so much I didn't know. And I leaned into the learning. And it took me a few years. And what was interesting, Paul, was I told everybody what I was doing. I told all my clients I was opening a second business. I don't lie. I don't hide. It's not my nature, never has been.
Right.
And then I got a call from a client. I'm like, "Hey, Abby, you have a few minutes to talk?" Of course, we have bills to pay. Of course, like a new job. Yeah, sure. And they asked me, "Can I talk to you about your other business? I'm thinking of opening a marketing company.
Ah,
I'm thinking of opening a graphic design company." I was like, "Okay, what do you need?" They're like, "Well, you've run a business before. I haven't. Can you help me?" And that's when the light bulb went off. And I was like, "Oh, this is what I know. This is what I know well. I know how to build a company, scale a company."
right.
And that was my aha in the transformation from Slater Graphics to Slater Success and then scaling this over the past 17 years now.
Wow. Now, along the way, Ivy, and maybe this is true of your very first client, um, you developed a focus of helping women business owners and business leaders. Can you share with the audience how that came about?
Um, it came about not intentionally, and we work with an enormous amount of women leaders, women who are scaling companies, and some exceptional men today.
Sure.
Um, it started with when I was selling printing, my niche market was the publishing industry. And I did all the marketing and advertising for so many magazines.
Right.
Those marketing and advertising departments were led by women. The
Hmm.
publishing industry in New York, at least at that time, and I'm not going to say it's different now, I'm not going to say it's changed, were paid less. So men might start in publishing, but then they jumped into other industries that had a higher pay scale. Women had an opportunity to advance within that industry
Hmm.
and grow into leadership because it was paid less. So that taught me like, damn it, women, you have to be able to be paid equal to our
Yes.
men opening businesses. But we have a different mentality because years ago, we had accepted differently.
Yes.
So that was the catalyst that started me working with women business owners because it was important to me to have women earning their value. I could tell you it is a crazy comment that was said to me more than once in the printing industry of, Ivy, you make a man's salary. It was the 80s and 90s, and that was the concept. And so I just got very much behind women being able to build companies that have the foundation that of being able to build a great company with great people, earn a great income, make a great impact. And this idea of equality.
Mhm.
And that was just because of what I experienced early in my career.
That is so great. And I, audience members, whether you're listening or watching, I'm sure you can feel the passion from Ivy in what you do, Ivy. Maybe this is obvious, but maybe not. One of my favorite questions to ask is, what brings you the most satisfaction in your business? What is it about it that gives you the most joy?
I love seeing my clients when they reach their goals, when they hit a win.
Mhm.
I have so many clients. We start every call with the concept of sharing a success
I like that.
because you should always track and know what is working in your business. We should also honor ourselves in what is working for us. So
Yes,
sharing a success makes the leader acknowledge what they're doing well and honor themselves, as well as giving insight to the business of what is working, because that gives us the ability of this is working. How do we expand it? How do we scale that?
that is so great. I love that. Um, can you share with the audience a success story that illustrates what you just said?
Um, yeah, let's see. Which one should we pick?
Your favorite.
Um, I will say one of my clients uh, engaged us a few years ago, and we're still working together. And she had been the junior partner in a law firm, and the managing partner, the senior partner, retired. And she's like, I've never done this on my own. I've never been the lead decision maker. And she engaged us, and she's like, I just want to get like some confidence around the decision making. Well, in that few years, her revenue has doubled. Her team has massively increased. She has about a team of 10. She works in a variety of states, i.e., coast to coast.
Wonderful.
Um, and she's not from New York. She was recently flown into New York to speak on a panel. And I went to And she owned this stage. I mean, everybody was looking for her, the lineup for her with questions afterwards. But more than that, and she's like, I've gotten 2 kids through college and I'm able to vacation. And now I'm planning to redo, something in my home. And it's the scaling of the business, but it's also the living and enjoying our life. And that's what qualifies as a great success. It's not just scaling the company, it's scaling and enjoying it.
Wow.
And that's the win.
Ivy, that is truly profound, and I really appreciate you sharing that. I also really appreciate you being with us for this episode of Storylines Live. How can people find you best?
Easy. Go to slatersuccess.com or reach out to Ivy Slater on LinkedIn. I respond to both.
That is so.
And Paul, thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. It's been an honor to spend time with you. And I hope the audience feels the same way. I'm sure they will. And speaking of the audience, thank you to all of you who joined us for this episode of Storylines Live, the only podcast that explores the power and the meaning of the most important story in business, the one that answers why somebody would buy from you, work for you, invest in you, or partner with you, your capital S story. We'll see you next time in our next episode.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Robbie Samuels hosts the On the Schmooze podcast. Robbie, tell listeners what to expect from the show.
Since 2015, I've interviewed entrepreneurs who overcame challenges to achieve success in their field or industry. Tune in to On the Schmooze to listen as I ask deep questions to elicit untold stories about leadership and networking.
And where can people subscribe?
Find the show at ontheschmooze.com or on marketingpodcast.net, or just search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard them. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.